So just trying to prioritize what I have to do now. That's it. But how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. We're busy as usual.
That's good to hear.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us for a few minutes. So for everyone watching, my name is Ryan Mattock, and I'm one of the co-founders of CommissionCrowd, and I'm here with Lorenzo Johnson from Sociallyin. And we hear, Lorenzo, you've had a bit of success with our platform. So I would love to find out a little bit more, talk about your company, about the sales opportunity that you're presenting to salespeople, and find out how you've been getting on with us. So I guess where we could start is just maybe you could tell us a little bit more about your company and the sales opportunity that you're putting in front of salespeople.
Absolutely. So my name is Lorenzo Johnson, and I'm one of the partners at Sociallyin. We are a full-service social media agency based out of the United States. Our headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia. We have a second office in Birmingham, Alabama, and we just opened up office number 3 in Los Angeles, California. We are full service, so we do everything from social media strategy. We have a few different production studios. We do what's called outbound engagement, influencer management, and as well as social media paid ads. And we use CommissionCrowd for 3 sales opportunities. The first one is actually to help sell what's called our social selling services. We have an entire division that has about 11 or 12 products and services that specifically service LinkedIn as a platform, and we call that division social selling. We also use it to sell general social media services. And then number 3, we also use it to sell our production services. Where we found the most success is actually using it to sell our social selling services. We've worked with approximately 7 or so CommissionCrowd agents over about the past 18 months or so, to the point one of our most successful CommissionCrowd reps actually joined our team officially about 3 months ago due to the success that this individual had in selling in that space. Excellent.
So are you finding that now you've connected with salespeople, maybe the word's spreading a little bit and they're introducing you to other agents in their networks and their circles and that kind of thing? Or are you just finding these additional agents through searching on CommissionCrowd?
So these agents are all coming through CommissionCrowd. So one thing that we've been very blessed in that we love the platform for is that we actually don't have to do much searching. We actually have to do more kind of filtering out the inquiries that we get. So we have an abundance of agents that have actually reached out to us. So we've been very lucky in regards to that. So it hasn't been a difficult process to find people to apply. It's just more going through that process of finding a good fit for the culture that we have.
Excellent, excellent. So initially, before you found CommissionCrowd, what was the reasoning behind you thinking, you wanted to build an outsourced sales team as opposed to hiring in-house staff? Some companies, maybe they want to enter a new territory, they don't have any presence in those areas, or, obviously your company is not a startup, but maybe, a company that doesn't have the funds, they look to work with commission-based salespeople. So what was the reason that you decided to build your team that way?
That's a great question. And it's actually point number 1 that you mentioned, the ability to break into new markets. So one of the things that as we became an international company over the past couple of years, one of the pushbacks that we got in our outbound marketing in other countries was not having a physical person there, whether it was a location, whether it was an office building, someone who spoke the language, for example. And so what we started doing is in markets where we were getting traction and we really felt like if we could invest a quote unquote boots on the ground, we'd be able to secure more business. We decided that CommissionCrowd would be a great help with going and finding that. So initially it was actually to help us go out and have an actual boots on the ground person in some markets that we had already pre-identified.
Excellent. Thanks, Lorenzo. So in terms of the levels of success then, are you able to give us any kind of idea, maybe on an individual basis or, the total success that the team's had in terms of, how much additional revenue are they perhaps bringing into your company?
If I had to put an estimate on it, and I can get you some more numbers on this, give me just a couple seconds to kind of think through if I had to give you a quick number. I'd say it's brought in enough business. So the one way, here's a way that I can kind of simplify it. Our average sales rep is going to make between 50 and 80K or so a month or a year before you start to get into payout of commissions and things like that.
Mhm.
We have generated enough revenue to not have to hire sales reps and use commission crowd reps to generate that same type of money and return that we would expect a sales rep that we're paying 50 to 80K to return us. We're getting return like that from commission crowd reps that we've used, if that answer makes sense.
That does, Lorenzo, and thank you for that. That's amazing. That's amazing. So how long did it take you? And obviously when companies join us, we sometimes use a dating analogy, an online dating type analogy. We're a networking platform. So networking or online dating, it can take time to find the perfect salespeople. Some companies find the right people in the first week, others it could take a couple of months. Could you give us an idea of maybe how long it took you to find your first salesperson?
So there's a two-part answer to that. It took us a few weeks to find the first person to get the interview process started. But so one thing about us that we've really tried to do is we've really tried to create a system that once we find the right person and we can plug that person in, that person will undoubtedly be successful. So there's a two-part vetting that happens for us. It's not just the vetting of you to be accepted to get the opportunity. We actually take people through a 30-day trial training period. There's a pretty intensive 14-day training period that you have to go through before you ever get a lead. Yeah. And then there's a 30-day trial process that we take you through before you ever get full access to all of the resources that you'll continue to need. The reason that we do that is because a good fit is extremely important to us. We understand we have a good product. We understand we have a good system and different things like that. We want to make sure that we're working with the right people. Culture and having a great culture is just something that we've worked on for years now. And so if we're going to pull in somebody into that culture, that's what's much more important. So we not only vet your competence, I guess, for lack of a better term, we also vet if you're going to be a good fit. So it takes a few weeks for us to vet the competence aspect, or I'm sorry, the competence aspect of it. But then it also takes a few more weeks for us to really feel comfortable before we truly plug you into our ecosystem. So on average, at minimum, it takes us about 30 days to really hire and fully bring on board a commission crowd individual, a commission crowd sales rep.
Sure. And I think that's really important. There's a fine balance to be struck between, treating independent salespeople who are self-employed, as just that, or treating them as an employee. There's a fine balance there, but they're representing your company. You don't want to bring someone on and instantly start handing over precious leads without the vetting process. So that's
100%.
That's something that we recommend. And, sometimes people get frustrated because they're bringing on the wrong person and spending too much time there. But there always is, it's like anything, you do your due diligence. I can never say that word. And it's important to do that before someone, starts representing your company. And Lorenzo, I know you've been traveling, you're extremely busy, so I really want to keep this short, but you're probably in one of our biggest categories in the system, in the platform, the kind of digital advertising online online space. There's a lot of competition for the top salespeople there. So why do you feel like you've been successful, whereas others maybe struggle for a little bit longer to find people? What do you think? It's the vetting process? Do you think it's the actual offering, or maybe a combination of all of these things?
I think it's a combination of a few things, because again, we haven't done everything right, but we've also tried to learn and pivot. And so I would say a few things that have helped us be successful. The vetting process, absolutely. You got to find somebody that's bought in 100%. Number two, you got to have a system that's already well-defined and thought through. We made sure that by the time we put a commission crowd person into the system was vetted and tested, and that we weren't using them to test our system, if that makes sense. The other thing is that we also really try to make sure we equip them with everything they need to be successful. So that's one of the reasons that when you work with us, you can't just take on leads. You just don't get a Sociallyin email. We want to make sure that we're comfortable. We give you the full gambit of everything you need to be successful. And I would say the last thing is that the product offerings and how we pay them out, I think really fit well. So we have everything from a very small $300 a month product all the way up to 15, 25, 45K a month product. So it allows a sales rep to always fall on something. So even if they don't get the big deal, they can always get a little bit of something. And as you know, that's good for momentum, small wins,
Absolutely.
Just getting a little bit of money on the paycheck. The other thing is that we also pay people for their network. So we don't just pay people to close deals. So we have 3 different commission structures that we do. We have a commission structure for if we give you a lead. So we make sure that when we provide leads, that it has everything literally that you need to be successful. Contact name, budget, phone number, email sequences, case studies appropriate. All you literally have to do is take the time to do the given outreach that it's done. We simplify it. We pay you if we refer it. So we understand that a lot of these individuals have a strong network. We will compensate them strictly for their network, and we compensate them very well. If you can just introduce me and my salespeople to an appropriate opportunity, we will compensate you, and we'll compensate you very aggressively for it.
Right.
And then last but not least, we have our highest tier of payout, which includes if you use your network and you hunt and you find and you close, we will absolutely take care of you and incentivize you. So I think between all of those things, it's really allowed and helped us become successful.
Right. Exactly. So you've got something for everyone. You've got something
literally something for every client that they can interact with, something for every sales rep or for every commission crowd rep. Everybody, we've really tried to think through both sides and what can we give to both sides to be successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because sometimes salespeople, they might not even work in your industry, but they can open doors for you. They can make a very quick referral.
And we'll pay you to open doors. There's value in opening doors.
Yeah. Or they go after short sales cycle products. Or another agent might only be, interested in nurturing a long sales cycle product. So no, that's a great answer. Okay, so just before we go, what would you say to companies that are maybe on the fence? They've checked CommissionCrowd out, they're on the fence to maybe joining up. Would you have one bit of advice for them just before we go?
Yes, the biggest piece of advice I would have is take the time to properly build your profile and your offering. And then take your time to truly ensure that your system works. Don't use a CommissionCrowd person to test your system. Make sure your system is tested and plug and play people to be successful. If you do those things, if you take the time up front, and it's going to take time to properly build your profile, properly build your offerings, and if you take the time to make it systematic, it's very likely that you will win. Yeah,
that's great. Thank you so much, Lorenzo, for taking the time to speak with us today briefly, and we'll continue to work with you, and we hope that your team gets bigger and bigger from here and stronger. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I appreciate the opportunity as well this morning.
Thank you, Lorenzo.